Then I got the music up and ready. Hello, everybody. My name is Mamir,
And I'm Lennox.
and we're going to be doing another podcast. This one's going to be about anime. Little quick thing though before we jump in, if it's all right with Lennox. Just want to apologize. Like we've been away for a little while. Mostly my fault. Just been pretty busy and dealing with other stuff, and then of course Baldur's Gate 3 came out, so all of my free time was spent playing that because I get very limited free time and I really didn't feel like, sitting down, recording and editing and everything, and I was like drawn into Baldur's Gate. It's that ADHD hyperfixation. I'm sure many of you are aware of that type of behavior.
You should absolutely apologize. I was thinking that at the start of this, it's like Mimir should be made to apologize to everybody listening to this. Uh, but also, on a serious note, I was actually very distracted myself. There was a massive update with Star Citizen going on, a lot of updates. Not to mention, I was also very into Baldur's Gate, and that is pretty much all I was doing for a while at one point. It seems I always found a way to get invited into somebody else's campaign and could never get around to finishing my own. So I have weird, incomplete knowledge of Baldur's Gate simply for the fact that I had friends who kept inviting me into random points in their campaign. It's very weird. So someone will mention a quest and being like, "Oh, it's super important part of Act 2," and I'm just like, I didn't play that part with anyone. No one invited me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have not finished the game yet, but I'm getting very close to the ending. I'm trying to wrap up a bunch of side quests and everything in Act 3, so yeah, it's been a journey. I think I have in total, last I looked, it was like 284 hours in the game.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So yeah, that's my bad, guys. Because recording takes however long it takes to record whatever we're doing, and then editing takes like twice as long for each video. Like I think I usually spend on like a half-hour video, if I'm throwing in like a couple little edits. I think it usually takes me about like 2 hours. So it's a lot to be able to kind of get these recordings going, and when you only get 2 days off a week, or sometimes less if you're working overtime, it can get a little like frustrating to try and get everything recorded and then get everything edited. So, but
Indeed.
we're gonna be trying to bring it back in a little bit. So tell your friends, please. Like it's nice to try and get like some of them views up. Like views aren't the most important thing, but it feels nice when you look at it and you get like 15, 20 views on a video. It feels even better with some of the other videos where we got like, what was it, Who's Your Daddy? We got like 500 something on there. That felt great.
Oh yeah. It's nice to do this for an audience that appreciates it. That's my take on it. Like I'd be very happy if we got like 100 views, but all the people who watched it very much enjoyed it. Um, but yeah, like I very much enjoy the idea that like what we're doing, even if it's for a small group of people, there are people out here who are enjoyed listening to this, like in the car or just chilling on the couch or just whatever. Just I like the idea that what we're doing means something to someone.
Yeah, and you know what? Even if it's not just the podcast stuff, if it's the gaming stuff and everything, I get it. Some people aren't gonna like some of the games that we're gonna play, but that stuff is like we do this channel for fun. It's a fun thing to do. It's not to try and like make it big. Like it's for us to kind of have fun to do. And we want to bring people along with us who enjoy it. So I want to say thank you to all the people who do enjoy watching this stuff, who have missed us now that we've been away for a little while. Um, so thank you everybody out there. Yeah, just make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Make sure you are telling your friends about it. Try and spread the word because it is fun, and we would like to have at least a little bit of a community to kind of enjoy this stuff with, interact with people and talk with them about things that interest us and things that interest you. Suggestions from you guys would always be cool too, so
it was very interesting to have someone approach me in my normal life who knows that we do this and is just like, "Hey man, it's been a while since you posted. Everything okay?" And I was just like, "Oh, a fan. I forgot you. I forgot you paid attention to me."
Was that FNG?
Yeah, that's the FNG at work. Nice guy. We're calling him FNG just so that we both know who we're talking about.
Yeah, protecting privacy and all that. I also was told by, if we are thinking of the same FNG, I was told that merch shop might be an interest. So, like, he was saying, he's like, "Oh, I was thinking about maybe getting something." So, to bring that in, like, I'm going to create a promotional video for some of the merch shop stuff, and I hope you guys, can check that out. I want to try and bring more awareness to it. It's really not, like, that big of a deal, and it's not like, I get it, we're not these huge YouTubers who, like, "Oh, I got so-and-so's merch, like, oh, that's so cool." But it's like, it's something cool. Like, if I were to see, like, one of our friends or, like, somebody else just randomly on the street, like, have something that we designed, I'd be like, that is so fucking awesome,
Yeah, it's a decent design. Like, I bought the flip flops and I use those as shower shoes when I go to the gym, and it's always cool to pull those out of my gym bag and put them on and just be like, "Yeah, got my cool logo flip flops. All right."
Yeah, you got the OG ones because the design has changed.
Yeah, I did.
Since you bought them.
Vintage merch that I've put all over a public gym shower.
I wear my my Mimir hat, like, everywhere. That's my go-to, like, baseball hat. Anytime I go anywhere, that's what I'm wearing.
I'm waiting to surprise somebody one night when I wear my Modular Nerds T-shirt to work, and then, like, at the end of work I take off like my shirt and everything else, and then they see the Modular Nerds T-shirt, like, underneath it all, and they're just like, "Whoa!" And I'm just like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
It's like a Superman moment where it's just like, "Get this shit off me!" And I rip it off, and they just see the Modular Nerds logo. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just wanted to bring that up to people. So if you feel like supporting us and letting us know that, like, we're doing a good job and you enjoy the stuff, like, that is a good way to do that. We split the profits. So far, Lennox hasn't gotten any of it since, like, I've bought stuff and he's bought stuff, so it's like we just get our money back, except I think the couple small things that you did, I did talk to you about that. I'm like, I'm just gonna hold on to this.
Yeah.
Just because, like, I set up the store and everything, and I was just like, okay, I get, like, $3 from you. It's like, since I don't mean this in, like, a bad way or anything, but since I bought, like, all the podcast stuff and all the software and everything, I was like, I'm gonna hold on to your $3.
Okay, I want you all to have just heard that Mimir confessed to keeping the profits for himself and not doing an even division of profits from this channel. That's my $3 or $1 or $1.50 that he has held on to that I have not gotten.
Didn't you also tell me that you were gonna pay me the $30-something for the capture card?
You only wanted cash! You only wanted cash! I kept offering to just, like, Facebook pay you or whatever, and you were like, "Nah, just cash." And I was just like, "Okay, when we see each other and I have $30 cash on me, I'll do it." Who carries that much cash? I carry a $20 bill with me for emergencies. That is it. Everything else is card. And I Cash App or I Venmo or whatever for everybody else. It's just like, dude, that's on you.
Hey, I got Cash App.
Yeah. Oh, would you have accepted it?
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. It's only maybe now. Okay, it's maybe now. It was no before, but it's maybe now. All right.
So yeah, and just let people know this is all in good fun. We're not, like, mad at each other about that stuff, or at least I'm not. I'm not upset.
There
So,
will be a change.org petition for Mimir to pay Linux what he is owed. I would like you all to sign up for it. There will be a link in the comments and the description.
I'll put it in. I'll put it on your tab. I'll deduct it from your
Oh,
tab.
oh, how nice, how nice.
Until things have reached like an equilibrium.
The theft will continue
Oh,
until I believe things are fair. All right, yeah, good job, boss. Appreciate you.
well, that was just super annoying. The music did like an advertisement. Oh, that was dumb.
Ah,
Um, I wonder if there'd be a better way to do that. Oh well, if it happens again, then maybe I'll be like, oh, hold on, and then repeat what you said, type of thing. So that way I can cut out advertisement bullshit like that. So there might be a section there where the music just kind of cuts for a second, but oh well.
now
Well, now that we kind of got like a whole 10-minute intro out of the way, let's jump into the exciting world of anime.
let's go.
So,
All right,
go ahead.
all right. Well, I will go first. Thank you. All right. So, first question I wanted to ask you: what was the first project or projects? Like, what were the first like pieces of anime that drew you into anime?
Well, I will say I had always kind of seen like some anime floating around here and there when I was younger, but never really was drawn to any of it. It was like when I was growing up, it was always like, "Oh, you like anime?" It was like always laughed at or looked down on, so it never really like interested me. I was like, "Well, if everybody hates this, why am I going to, try liking it?"
Don't talk about it.
Yeah, so I was like, I didn't really know what to really get into, but then it sort of changed as I got a little bit older, and I think my first real anime, if we're not going to count, and I know some people are going to get upset with me, if we're not going to count things like Pokemon or Avatar The Last Airbender, because, I mean, those, you can argue either way for those. Um, I would have to say, I think one of the first ones I watched was Rosario Vampire.
Hey,
Um,
I also watched that.
yeah, and I think that was, I want to say, like my 10th or 11th grade year of high school. Um, I had, I think it was on Netflix at the time. Maybe? No. Where did I watch it? I watched it somewhere. I don't remember. I think it was probably some website that I seen it on. Um, and I really liked that show. I mean, I watched the dub. So it was, kind of funny and everything. I I recognize some of the voice actors now because there's a lot of like big name voice actors that you'll find across tons of anime now.
They get recruited into all kinds of projects, and then it's like a game where it's just like, oh hey, that's Lelouch from Code Geass, or hey, that's Ichigo over there. It's like you're recognizing the same guy over and over again.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the big things too that really started getting me into liking voice acting. Was recognizing voice actors from like the same types of anime or whatever, and then recognizing them from like a video game or whatever. And I think me also trying to jump into more like D&D stuff. I That's how I discovered Critical Role, which is a bunch of nerdy ass voice actors who sit around and play Dungeons and Dragons. So like combining those two things kind of like linked together because I started recognizing voice actors that would be on that show, or like I would seek out animes with those voice actors because I'm like, I like these people. What else do they do? So I think that kind of like really pushed me down that rabbit hole of discovering more things in anime.
Yeah.
What was your first?
Well, real quick, I want to preface this with something that you were saying before. I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget to say it. But back in the day, and some of you are young, and you're not gonna really be able to appreciate this. But back in the day, liking anime was not cool. You would get made fun of a lot if
Yeah.
someone found out you liked anime. It doesn't even matter if you liked like the classics, like if you liked Naruto or if you liked Bleach, they would still make fun of you. There was no protection. There was no like understanding of, oh no, that's a good show, or no, that's entertaining. All they would see is like the Japanese cartoon aesthetic, or they would see some anime girl with giant boobies flopping around with their own physics engine, and then they would just be like, oh, you're into that pervy, creepy Japanese crap, and you would just get made fun of for it. I got made fun of mercilessly by having a copy of Shonen Jump magazine on the bus to school at one point. I got that shit like taken out of my hands, and kids were like passing around and making fun of me because they saw like some chick in a bikini on it, and they were like, "Oh, Lennox has porn," and I'm just like, "You assholes! That is not what that is." And I kept trying to explain it. I think one or two people actually listened, but everybody else was just like, he has bikini shots in his magazines."
Yeah.
It
The
was
kids were ruthless back when we were
they
kids, you
were
know?
they still fucking are.
Yeah.
It's easier for them to channel that shit online where they can't get caught as easy.
Although I will say a lot of like younger people are discovering things like anime, and they're not being made fun of as much as we were. Like,
Yes.
we got called so much like horrible stuff back when we were kids, and if you liked anime, it was way worse. So that's, like I said, that's why I avoided it.
The teasing was merciless to the point where you just didn't talk about it. And so today it is lovely. Like it's a wonderful feeling to be able to today see kids be able to talk openly about anime and have them not be criticized for it. It's like, oh no, we're gonna share our thoughts on Naruto or whatever. We're just gonna talk about like this. Or it's like, oh, have you seen this? No, I haven't. Oh, it's pretty entertaining. If you thought you might want to get a look, it's on Netflix or something. Anime is so much more mainstream now that it's not normal to get made fun of as much for it. Like if so like for liking anime, you don't get made of as much. And it's very nice. But at the same time, you see people online being like giving like an eye roll or like a sarcastic response when someone mentions that. Like if I mentioned that there in like a post or in a forum or something, there'd be that one guy who'd be like, "Yeah, okay, Grandpa. Like, I'm sure that it was really bad, or those are the dark days." Like, and just it's all sarcasm. And I'm just like, "You shut your mouth. You don't understand. That was legit pain."
Yeah,
Like,
you were like ostracized by so many of your peers just for liking something. And a lot of the time it was, like you said, something pretty mainstream. Like people loved like Naruto, and
yep,
they like it wasn't so much of what a lot of like anime is nowadays, where it's like, kind of over the top like ichi stuff. But
yeah,
like it was something more serious, and it was like a good show, or like Dragon Ball. But I will say, in the defense of the people who kind of look down on it, and this is probably one of the only things that you will hear me say in defense of that type of like mindset, is some of those kids took it over the top. Like the anime
yes,
kids, like, you try and, hit me with a kamehameha in gym class, like, okay, it's a little over the top now. Or all you do when you run, anytime you run, is you Naruto run, like, yeah, it's like, all right, calm down. You made it your entire personality. It's okay to like something, but I get why some people, especially people who don't understand anything nerdy, would view that as weird and point you out as the weird kid. Not saying it was right, but I see why they would feel that way.
absolutely. And those kids were weird, and unfortunately, they gave us all a bad name. And I have had someone tell me, it's like, "Do you think it's because you were one of those weird kids?" And I was like, "No, no, no. Do not associate me with those kids."
Yeah,
Uh, like you said, they would Naruto run in public. They would use Japanese honorifics while talking about fictional character. I had a girl at one point. we were just like one of the few people I could talk to about like anime, and we were talking about Naruto, and we were talking about it's like, oh, did you see like the latest episode of Naruto? And then like we were talking about like I think I said like Kakashi or something like that, and then she was like correcting me, or she was like saying it's like, oh, Kakashi Sensei, and I'm just like, he's not your sensei. Just you don't need to refer to him as your sensei. Or then she recalls like Sasuke-kun, and I'm just like, you do not know this boy. He is not a real boy. Do not put Japanese honorifics on his name, you English-speaking child from small American town. That
Yeah.
is not how that works. You are Caucasian as it gets.
Oh, hold on. Okay, we're back.
Oh god.
The advertisement. All right, next time I'm gonna get like an actual like really good like music setup for this, because I don't have YouTube Prime or Premium or whatever the fuck it's called.
You should log into my account and then you can use it like that.
Yeah, maybe next time we'll do that. But yeah. Anyway, back to the honorifics. Like, unless that is the character's name in the show, like canonically they are known as. Like, you shouldn't be doing that.
You are adding honorifics on, and you're referring to them as real people. It's like that was creepy, and it's like that was too much. Or this is my prime example for like creepy stuff too. So there, you know how there was always that one creepy kid in class, right? And there are certain anime that, you know, not everybody got made fun of for every anime, but there's other anime fans that people would be like, that kid's kind of weird. I don't think I want to hang out with him or talk about his favorite anime, because he is weird. And there was this one girl in class, different than the one I was talking to before. She was sitting in the back of class, and one day she was just very quietly in the back, and she had a notebook that was a mock-up of the Death Note notebook.
Oh,
And
yeah.
oh yeah. And I was just like, oh, that's cool. It's a nice little cool piece of like merch or whatever. And I hadn't watched much of Death Note, but I knew the premise. I used to pilfer through Shonen Jump magazine, so I kind of got the gist of it. I remember thinking it's like that's a cool thing to be interested in, and so nothing else was going on, and so I just struck up a conversation with her one day, just trying to be nice, and we were just talking about like, you know, like, oh, what anime do you like? Oh, Death Note. Yeah, I can see that, Death Note. And then she was like, she said something to me which was, do you want to write a name in the Death Note? And I was like, sure, because me being dumb, socially awkward kid was just like, there's nothing creepy about writing someone's name in the Death Note.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it could be fun, like you know, two people connecting, like, oh, haha, this is a joke. Like, you write some obscure name in there or whatever.
For the record, for people who don't know, the point of Death Note is that there's a notebook that just says Death Note on the front of it. You write someone's name in it, and then you can write a description for how that person dies. And even if you don't write a description, that person will still die of a heart attack. And there's like all these other stipulations that come with it, like the Death Note. But it's like you can look at the manga or the anime if it really matters to you that much.
It is good, I will say that.
Oh, it is very good, yes. But I go ahead and I am just like, oh, sure. And so I just wrote down the name of like, just again, I thought we were just like trying to have like a weird bonding moment. And so I wrote down the name of this annoying kid, and I wrote some like ridiculous over the top scene for his death. It was like one or two sentences long. I think I don't know. I think it involved like explosive diarrhea or something. Just dumb kid shit. And I was just like, oh yeah, well I know she's probably not a fan of this kid either because he's a jerk. And then she goes ahead and she doesn't write a name in herself. She just takes the book back for me, closes it, just looks me dead in the eyes, and then says, okay, just so you know, now your soul can no longer go to heaven or hell. You're bound for purgatory for the rest of eternity. And then she just gets up and leaves. And I'm just like, what the hell? That's what I get for being nice.
Yeah.
I was so put off by that, understandably, but I was like, what the hell just happened?
I will say, in like 5th grade, I could see myself being that weird kid. Because I was like that weird like emo over the top kid where it was like I was writing song lyrics and everything. Or like I would make up my own songs and poems and everything, like in class, and write them out on a sheet of paper and be like, nobody understands me, you know. And I could see myself being over the top if I dove into something like that at an early age. Not saying, you know, that I ever did anything like that, but like I could see myself diving into that. That's probably one of the other reasons why I stayed away from it, because I knew that it would be over the top if that was my, like, you know, personality.
So over the top, and I was just so put off by it. I did not talk to that kid anymore. I was like, oh god, not that is that how other people see me for liking anime? Oh god, that just reinforces why I don't share anime interests with anyone. So if you're young and you're listening to this and you didn't experience the social stigma of liking anime and then being hated for it or picked on for it, you don't know this pain. You don't understand this pain. This was real. It's like this is trauma.
Yeah,
But
it was definitely something else when we were younger.
all right. I just wanted to get that off my chest too, because and then you brought up the creepy anime kid in school, and I couldn't help myself. Uh, but all right, so
So that
going
that
back to,
covers our introduction to anime and how, like, we perceived anime when we were kids. So now we can get talking about anime.
right, and dialing it back to your question about what anime got me into anime, it's like, well, there's the classic that everyone talks about, like, you know, Dragon Ball, or I even include Digimon in that because it was an American cast anime. Like they put it on like Fox Kids or Cartoon Network or whatever, and it's like you didn't really understand what it was. But I think the thing that really triggered my first interest into anime was late at night at one point. I remember, I think it might have been, I don't know why. I think it was Disney Channel for some reason, but late at night I saw Kiki's Delivery Service, which was a Miyazaki film, and I remember thinking to myself, this is one of the coolest cartoons ever. Is this by Disney? Is this by DreamWorks? It's so good. And then like the research was hard in those days because, you know, you didn't really have much of in the way of the internet to access, or it wasn't as easily available. So
Right.
as time went on, I just sort of picked up more and more on it as like from bits and places. And I was like, oh, it's a Japanese thing. Okay, that explains certain art style, I guess. For those of you who haven't seen it, Kiki's Delivery Service is very much like an older Miyazaki film with like a sort of like '90s aesthetic to it. Very good, and it's a very cute story with like a deeper themes to it and everything. And I was very charmed by it even as a kid, and I was just like, this is very interesting, and I like this a lot.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's one of the ones that I haven't seen. I know, like, what it is. I've seen, like, you know, little, like, snippets or whatever, but I've never actually watched it. And real quick, sorry to cut you off. Like, looking at the voice actors for the uh, Disney from 1997, 1998, and 2010, like, these are some big names, dude.
yeah. Oh
Like,
yeah,
there's
they
Kirsten Dunst, Phil Hartman.
talent. They brought in real talent for these things. Like they spent money to get people who could do this right.
Hmm.
Like these aren't just randoms that they pulled off the street. Like these are actual, like, oh, let's get this professional voice actor to give the English voice for this anime we want to do in the US. And it worked out great for a lot of these productions. One of the things, so after watching Kiki's Delivery Service, I think it was like a sort of like a natural progression because I think I remember one day just seeing like a Shonen Jump or whatever, and there was Yu-Gi-Oh, and I learned what Naruto was in conjunction with, it's like, oh yeah, it's like Dragon Ball Z. It's like an action. It was like it's an action manga or whatever, and it's about like ninjas. And young child me was just like, ninjas, that's the coolest. And you know, then they brought up One Piece, and I was like, pirates, that's the coolest. And then One Piece never ended, and then I was just like, okay, that's a lot.
Speaking of
Uh,
One Piece, they got the Netflix show. I have not watched One Piece. I have not watched the new Netflix stuff of One Piece. My anime is pretty limited. It's still something that's like pretty new to me in a way because I don't dedicate a whole lot of time to it. Because some of these are just like you gotta spend so much time to get into like a lot of these older ones, especially. Some of them are still running,
Mhm.
so some of my stuff's pretty limited. Like, well, we'll get into some more of that later, but
Right, right. So yeah, so my progression for it, I think, was fairly natural, and like I thought it was like, you start small and then you start seeing more anime stuff, like, and then the few people you can discuss it with, like they all chip in with their knowledge and their recommendations, and you get excited because it's like, oh, good, more of the stuff that I like, and then there was like online streaming became available one day, and it became a thing, like not like the main platforms like Netflix and everything. Like my nephews at one point did look at me weird when I told them Netflix used to be a mail service, like you
yeah,
had to be mailed DVDs. They
right,
they didn't they didn't believe me. But back in the day, when they had like the various internet websites where you could get anime streamed in, hardworking people who would do like their own subtitles, or they would write
oh,
in the subtitles
hold
because
on,
they were multilingual.
okay,
Hardworking people who would write in like subtitles because they understood both the language, and they're like, let me do the best translation I can. And there would be like these online recruitment campaigns for people to like translate manga and stuff like that for pay, or even just like for like a hobby or whatever, and to share that with other people. It's like it was a lot. Like it was, to me, it seemed very much like a grassroots movement, where it was like, this smaller thing, and then later on in life, like I would see these kids who were like much younger than me. Like I was in hitting my 20s at this point, and I would see kids like half my age being like openly talking about Naruto, and I'm just like, you only feel comfortable talking about Naruto because you've seen it on Cartoon Network or whatever. Like they played it late at night and you got excited for it, and you and your friends could all talk about it together. And but I was happy for it. Like the pain of my own of being discriminated for my love of anime aside, I did enjoy seeing it become more mainstream, and now it's much more mainstream. Like
yeah,
it's at a point where you're the weird one if you don't like at least one anime, or if you don't at least know one anime.
yeah.
Because
I also like I didn't have a TV in my room for a long time. And then when I did have a TV in my room, I didn't have like um, cable or anything in my room. It was literally like hook up my Xbox or my PlayStation 2 or whatever, and that was all I had on that TV. So things like Toonami and everything, like I didn't really watch because it would come on like later at night, and it's not like I'm gonna go sit in the living room late at night when I got school in the morning, and um, yeah, I don't know. Like Toonami was great though when I would see it every now and then. Um, some of my friends they like to watch things like Jersey Shore and MTV type shows,
gross.
But then they would also like stuff like Saved by the Bell, like early in the morning before school and stuff. So every now and then when I got to watch like TV with my friends, it was more along the lines of what do they want to watch, because some of the stuff I wanted to watch, like, they didn't like at all, and the stuff that they liked, I was like, I don't mind having it on, so sure, you know, like that stuff didn't interest me, but I was like, well, that's what you want to watch, then sure, fine. Like I'm at your place. I'm not going to tell you to change the channel. Not that they would have cared. Like I'm sure they would have been like, if I didn't want to watch it, they would have been like, all right, let's throw on something else.
Yeah, they would have probably. Yeah, honestly, that was at a point where it was like, you throw on one thing, it's only slightly different than another, and if you were an anime fan, you more or less accepted being like, not every anime appeals to everyone. Like if I said Rosario Vampire to somebody, they'd probably be like, "Oh yeah, that cool anime," or like other people would say and be like, "Oh, you mean that weird pervy school vampire anime?" Um, and that's a problem with some of it. And I will say this also, because you mentioned Rosario Vampire earlier. First off, the manga is fantastic, but and the first season of the show also pretty solid. The second season you can tell that someone in charge of it was just like, you know what? We're just straight up going into the pervy factor with a lot of this. Like,
Yeah, you know,
we're throwing subtlety out the window.
a lot of these new animes, kind of like what I was saying before, a lot of these new animes, they dive right into the fan service. Like they don't have a whole lot of plot for some of these like quick, like one-off type things where they have like 12 episodes or whatever on Crunchyroll and that's it. Um or at least that's it for now. But a lot of them, that's what they are, is it's just fan service. It's all like just, little pervy, not necessarily showing much, but some of them are just, slightly pervy. And I understand why a lot of people don't want to watch that stuff, because that's not for everybody. And I understand the whole, like, you know, some of these shows, they're like high schoolers, and we're older than that, so it feels weird watching some of that stuff. And it's like, okay, but some of this story actually has like some good story, so let's try and ignore like the pervy stuff, because like the story's pretty good.
So yes, you learn to ignore certain things and accept other ones when you're watching anime, especially certain anime. Not everything can be freaking Cowboy Bebop or Bleach or Naruto when it comes to like keeping focused on content over perviness. I mean, they both had like their own like moments where it was just like, oh, that's a boob eye view of the situation I see.
Like,
But
one of the ones I will bring up, it's Jobless Reincarnation. I don't remember the other like name for it, because a lot of these have like,
Mushoku Tensei.
yes, like that one, yeah, it's pervy, but like the storyline of that one, oh, it's so good. Like,
It's perfect.
yeah,
It's a fantastic anime.
it's got so many ups and downs. It's got like such great character development. Like this, and I guess to explain it just a little bit, this guy in Japan, he's I think like 30. He ends up being reincarnated into a fantasy world where he's now a baby, but he has like all of his memories and like thoughts of his past life being in like the real world and everything. So he's using that knowledge while growing up in this other world and learning magic. And the the development that goes through his character is pretty insane, because he has to live through some of the traumas that he experienced in the real world while facing new traumas, but he has that like background knowledge, and it helps him start to get over those like real, I'm gonna say real life, even though it's not like, they're two different worlds. But his real life, like he's able to move past some of those traumas with the experiences that he's having in this new world. And it's so great to see how he can kind of like build himself back up and try and become better than he was like in his old life.
Right. Like I said, it's character development, and it's so damn good. Like I'm thoroughly impressed by like how they're able to condense so much story into so little. If you haven't seen the second season, I recommend it.
I have. I've seen all that's out so far. So.
Oh, good. But I was also going to add on, like from the first season, it's like because the caveat with this one is that he is a complete loser in his old life. Like he got bullied in school. He had some serious downfalls, and then basically then I think it's like his mom or whatever ended up passing away, and then the rest of his family just got so mad at him because they realized that he's just this big loser who couldn't even bother to show up to her funeral. And
I don't think it was the mom. I think it might have been like, because I thought I remember seeing, and I don't know if you've seen the second season.
I have.
I thought I remember like the mom and the dad are at the bedroom trying to get him to come out. They're leaving the food there. The mom like leaves the food there, and the sister and I think brother are like the brother's like talking shit about him or whatever, and the sister's like all worried about him, and he's just like holed up in his room.
Yeah,
But he ended up getting like severely bullied, um,
like
and
hardcore.
yeah, and it drew him to become like secluded, and then I think you're right. Someone did pass or something happened or whatever, and um, he ended up like getting beat up like in his house or whatever too, and then
Yeah,
what?
his family.
Yeah, he ended up like actually walking out like in public and everything, finally getting out of the house, sees this girl getting like harassed and tries to help her, and it does the whole classic like hit by a truck, wake up in a new world, like itsukai is that how you say it?
I- Isekai.
Isekai. So and ends up waking up in the new world. So
Right. And my big thing with that also, and it's like I'm just going with like context clues. I thought it was like his mom passed away, he didn't go to the funeral, and then his family shows up all pissed off and they basically kick his ass out of the house. That was my understanding of it from context. But yeah, but basically the whole point is that in life he ended up being this huge failure, this huge loser, and as he gets after he's reincarnated, he's still
oh,
got his
hold on.
memories of being killing me here, man.
I know, like we'll do something with it, but maybe now's a good quick pause point. I can try and
Okay.
I'll I'll try and get some other music going, and we'll pick it back up with the next episode here. We're gonna
All
actually
right. Well,
try and do these ones a little bit shorter. This one's going about 40 minutes since we took about 10 minutes in the beginning to kind of like reintroduce things or talk about a few things or whatever. But let's we'll wrap up this first one here, and we'll have another episode for you guys soon. So I hope you enjoy. Welcome back.
woohoo! See you in a minute.
Bye bye.